This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. You're coming to you live from Djuma in the Sabi Sand. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Senzo on camera. Please send through your questions. Hashtag Safari Live. Jump on the YouTube stream. We are out in the African wilderness. It is a very cool 21 degrees Celsius, 76 degrees Fahrenheit, and we are going to see if we can find those wild dog from this morning. You might have just caught me there looking with binoculars. I'm not sure what Senzo spotted. We're just having a little look, see in the distance. And this is kind of the area where we left the wild dogs and their puppies earlier this morning. Just having a little look. Senzo got quite excited. I think he saw something, but I haven't quite seen it yet. Anyway, we're going to have a little look. Where did you see them, Senz? And you're going to scan through there. Could be exciting. Could I possibly have seen wild dogs on 4 drives in a row? Is it possible? Senzo thought he saw ears.
It's behind this log. You see this log?
Behind that log, Senzo.
There's something there.
Do you need me to move forward for you?
Yeah.
Let's move a little bit forward. It's going to change the angle of the camera, I'm afraid, because there is a big bump in front of us.
Yeah.
Is that good? Let's see if the eagle eyes Mkhize has managed to spot something.
Yeah, you see it inside.
Can you see an ear?
No, I thought it was an ear.
Ah. Well, that was with your naked eye, Sen, so it's not a bad little guess. This is exactly where we saw them run in this morning. I don't think it is a wild dog, though. It looks like a log to me. But with your naked eyes, it's not a bad guess, considering we were moving at the time as well. But we're going to have a little scratch around here and see if we can maybe come up with dogs. I don't think I could beat this morning's sighting, though. If you were not watching this morning, we managed to find the wild dogs on the move. They killed a Impala, pregnant female that we hadn't seen the kill, and they came and brought the fetus from the mother to the babies who played with it. Quite gruesome for some to watch, but still very, very special. And then they brought the puppies back to the kill. Maybe the first time that these pups have actually been brought to a carcass. They were quite skittish at first, and then they got in and they started enjoying the carcass with relish. Not with relish that you put on like a sauce, but with enjoyment. So we're just having a little look. Bear in mind the wild dogs are very camouflaged, but the weather's been very cool today and quite windy, so I don't think they're going to be in the same place that they were just like yesterday. Yesterday they were very stationary because it was very hot. It was almost double the temperature yesterday. You can see I've got 3 layers on now. Quite a contrast, but that is what happens this time of year. You get these very hot days and then they pull in these sort of wet weather fronts. No rain so far, but hopefully we will get some in the next little while. The vegetation is dying for it. All the animals are really, really interested or hoping for some rain to fall shortly. Wash away the dust. I just checked the vehicle levels earlier. I got covered in dust. You have to have a bath after checking the car. Can't wait to change another tire and see how that sorts us out. But anyway, please send through your requests, what you'd like for us to focus on this afternoon. Let's see how we can do it. And in the meantime, let's go over to Sydney, who I think is on search for some buffalo.
A very, very good afternoon and welcome to the beginning of the show. My name is Sydney and I am traveling with VM this afternoon. We are going to be with you on this afternoon game drive. And for your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, hashtag Safari Live. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. My plan this afternoon is very easy. I'll be looking for some spotted cats, including the buffaloes in this area. This morning I was on a guided walk and I was very lucky to come across a big herd of the buffaloes. So I will be hanging around here and see if I can find a spotted cat as well. So I can hear this Francolin making some warning right here on this direction. I will just quickly go towards the southern side of the Vuyotela Pen area because now I picked up some warning signal. So I am hoping to find Hosanna around this area, because this morning I saw a scrub hare which was caught by Hosanna, and it was just left at the bottom of the marula tree. So these warning calls were coming from here. Maybe Hosanna is now about going to the water hole. Yeah, those birds, the francolins, they were just warning. Ruben, the lions, I haven't seen the tracks this morning, but a few days ago the tracks has been spotted in the other side, just by the areas of Buffalo's Hook. So, but because the buffaloes are present in the area here now, the chances of seeing the lions are very high. So it is here where the alarm was coming from the francolins. There's some impalas as well down there, and no tracks yet at all. So now let's go to the Maasai Mara and see what Scott is having this afternoon.
Well, I hope those francolin are shouting at something substantial like a leopard and not a slithering serpent like they often do, maybe a little mongoose. Good luck, Sydney. I also hope that the lions are following the buffalo onto Djuma. That'll be exciting. I'm not sure when last you guys saw lions on Djuma. If they don't have any luck there, my plan is to find you lions. I'm going to work an area where initially we'll start working in an area where either we'll find the Owino pride of lions, which is 2 mothers and 3 subadults that are about 1.5 years old. And after that, we will continue looking for the sausage tree pride, which I can tell you more about as and when we get a bit closer. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Scott, and it's great to have you on board. I'm teamed up with James Kai Moe Mureithi on camera. Hello. How are you? Very good. Have fun. Tutafuta nyasi tu. Sorry about that. I was just saying hello. It would have been awfully rude of me not to say hello to them. Everyone's very friendly out here on safari. She was just asking me where I was going. I made a joke. I said I was going to go and look for grass. Probably wasn't that funny, but that was the joke that came to mind. It's a beautiful day, as you can see. It was quite windy earlier, but the wind has subsided, so that's nice. Makes our life enjoyable. It's not too hot. I'm also happy to hear that the Djuma crew are not melting. I think yesterday they had a scorcher, so I'm sure they're enjoying the cloudy conditions today. So yeah, those are my plans for now. Brent, I know, kind of searched the area where we had Kikenya, a female cheetah, yesterday. He didn't have any joy this morning. And it's kind of tricky, you know, trying to balance out who to spend time with, or at least who to try and spend time with out here. But I think a lot of you will probably agree that we haven't seen the Owino pride for long, so it'll be useful to look for them. And also the fact that the sausage tree pride of 5 lioness, one of them has had 2 cubs, which we've only seen once, about 3 or 4 days ago. They are very cute, and I'm very interested to try and see if we can find them. I am concerned for their well-being. The reason being is that they are quite far from the territory where the father of those cubs hangs out. They're actually hanging out in the territory of two other males called the Oldonyo Payek males. And two of the sausage tree lioness are actually mating with those two males, one of which is Kinky Tail. A lot of you will know her. She's the kind of leader of the sausage tree pride. So the cubs run the risk of being killed by these new males that some portions of the pride are hanging out with, so that they can, excuse me, free up the mother for mating rights of their own. So I was in low range going down the hill, so just let's slow down, there we go, now we're in high range. Very good. Alrighty then, well, we've got some distance to cover before we get into the area where we need to start looking, and while we continue on, we're going to send you back to Sydney to see if in fact those Franklin were shouting at anything decent.
Maybe Scott is going to be lucky with the lovely cat, the lions, this afternoon, something I haven't seen for quite a long time here. And I am still here trying to investigate the alarm call given by the Francolin earlier on, and I am not seeing anything. What I'm going to do now is to go around and check the other roads that are cutting at the back of this area towards Buffalo's Hook and see if I can find tracks and then track that animal all the way from that area back to this side. So the bush is so very nice and open because it's too dry at the moment. So it's very easy to see these animals from far. And from here where I am, it's not easy. Rosalind, lions are one of those very social animals, and yes, they do greet each other, and how they greet each other is is very interesting, because you will find these animals just rubbing their head against each other, and you will see some of them just pushing each other, and sometimes you will see them clapping each other on the face, which is very much interesting. So now I can see that I have got some animals approaching this direction right in front of my vehicle. You can see I've got a big head of the impalas there. So these impalas, it means now they are going to the waterhole. I haven't seen them a lot, much more towards the waterhole, because the weather is very much overcast, and which is good for them because they don't waste too much, lot of water. So they don't dehydrate too much. So you can see now that the impalas, they are now heading towards the Vuyatela pen. And if you look at some of these impalas, you can see the hairs are not flat. The hairs are raised because it's cold at the moment. Look at those three different colors there. Here comes the male in the middle. Oh, there's about 3 males. And the one more on the left, that one looks very much big. It's bigger than the other. So impalas, their social structure is very much interesting. It's called a harem, whereby we are going to find one male in charge of the several females. And sometimes the females can be over 20. I have seen a herd of impala, 29 female with 1 male. So, but now, because it's during the non-breeding season, the dominant male doesn't have a problem to engage with some of the males. You can see young males are there, but mostly during the breeding season, you will see the big males, old males, they tend to form their own bachelor herd, which is a herd consisted of the big ones which have been defeated on their old territories, together with the young males which have not started mating yet. So these impalas, they produce a very, very thick sound. You will hear them chasing each other with their tails raised up, making noises such as that is to rat. Is where this name for their breeding season, ratting season, derived from. So now, let's go back to Steve, who is just driving, and see what he's seeing on the ground.
Sydney, I wonder if Sydney realised that rutting impala are not to be at the moment. They are finished, the rut is over, so he's just confusing the ladies. Let's hope that his rutting noises don't bring them back into estrus, because you know that's the purpose of that funny roaring call that the impala do, is to stimulate the females. Well, hopefully we don't get a third impala estrus this year. I was just checking that track, there's some hyena tracks. Hopefully we don't get a third impala estrus. The impalas are done. So now when we hear that funny noise that they do, well, invariably it should be alarm calls. Alarm calls for predators. But we came out of camp and there was a whole herd, Mrs. Puma, of nyala inside our camp already. So you wanted us to search for nyala and kudu. The nyala have all booked it into the camp. I think maybe the wild dogs gave them a bit of a fright earlier, and they're like, well, we're going to hang out here. We saw an impala getting its fetus ripped out, and its nose ripped off. It's much better hanging around these two-legged people. So we could go back to camp and check on the impala, the nyala, but a little bit further away now. Hello Billy, age 6, and Christopher, age 2. You want to see elephant? I would love to show you some elephant. I know that Sydney has gone off into the area where he had the elephants this morning to see if he can find them again. But what we have found is a raptor in the tree just at the back there. Can you see it, Sense? There it is. Beautiful, beautiful bird. Aha. Now this is the time of year when it starts getting a little bit confusing. Is it a tawny eagle? Or is it a Wahlberg's eagle? Let's look closely at it. There, it turns its head. Okay, that's easy to identify now, isn't it? I think so. What do you think, Senz? Easy? Easy. What do you think it is, Senzo? I think we're going to put it out to the viewers as a little quiz. Have a look at the bird. Let us know what you think it is. Bearing in mind this time of year, we have got the migrating Wahlberg's eagle back in the property. Hashtag Safari Live. Let us know what you think it is. Mafuta, that was a very quick answer. I'll tell you if you're correct in a moment. Let's get some more answers through. It's busy preening, doing a bit of cleaning. Feathers all the way to the feet, which is characteristic of all of your true eagles. The beak is quite strong though, I think. It does look quite strong. And it's got a little bit of a molt happening on the chest. Potentially a juvenile coming into adulthood. And when it turned its head, it didn't have that characteristic sort of crest on the back of the head. See, it's quite round on the back there when it turns its head, and it's got quite a strong beak. Pink Marshmallow and Ramona think it is a Wahlberg's eagle, and Mafuta is going for a tawny eagle. Interesting. Anybody else got some answers? Let's throw them out there quickly. I'm going to have another little look with my binoculars. I always seem to get a better view with the binoculars. Ladybird, you're saying Wahlberg's. Well, now that I've had another look with my binoculars, you can see the side of the beak. There's a little bit of a tuft on the back of the head when it puts its head up. And the beak is not very, very strong. I might have to get my phone out to show you exactly what I'm meaning when I have a look at these. But we've got a few who are saying Wahlberg's. Only one so far who's saying tawny eagle. Limsey, you are bad at raptors as well. It takes a bit of time, it takes a bit of effort, and it's important to take photographs so that you can go back and you can check. You can go back and you can check, because sometimes you really don't know. Rocky and James, you're going with a tawny eagle. Well, there's a third for tawny eagle, which is quite a good guess. No one is 100% wrong just yet. No one's 100% right just yet. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I've got some pictures on my phone here to show you what the tawny eagle looks like with regards to the beak. Let me just move that over. And when you look at this picture, if we can get it in the right sort of angle without the light reflecting, there we go. Have a look at the beak. The beak is very, very strong. Get a little bit in there more, Senzi. Very, very strong beak. And a yellowish cere. So that's a beautiful picture of a tawny, and you see how rounded the back of the head is. Okay, so now I'm going to just move out and then get you the Wahlberg's eagle to show you the difference between the two, because they can be quite tricky at this time of year. They really can. Oh, here's the Wahlberg's from the side. See how it's got that characteristic tuft, not always there, but the beak is quite small in comparison. It's not a very strong beak, not very firm. It's almost the size of the eye in comparison, whereas the tawny's got a really, and that's the pale morph, of course. We're not talking about morphs right now. You get a tawny eagle, and let's go back and have a look after you've looked at those pictures and see if we can confirm our answers. Well, looking at the size of the head and the size of the beak, I am going to go with a tawny eagle. I could be wrong. So I urge you to take your screenshots and send them through. If it will put its head up again and show us. See, it's not a very... The beak is quite strong. Mafuta was very fast in the answer there. But I'm still not 100% convinced now with the wind there. See, I think we're just a little bit too far off to be 100% accurate. And that's a beautiful thing about being out in nature, is you can't always be 100% certain. So send your screenshots through. I'm going to go with a tawny eagle. If you disagree with me, feel free to say, but look how the beak is so much bigger, isn't it? He's having a little scan on the ground there. There was some franklin were shouting. Tawny eagle are quite well known for snatching up franklins. They're not just a scavenger, they also do hunt the small ground birds. I've seen them tackle scrub hares as well. I had a beautiful tawny eagle this morning, flew off from the impala kill. Safari Hut, if this is indeed the tawny eagle, then no, they are residents all year round. But if it is the Wahlberg's eagle, then they move up towards the sort of sub-Saharan area, sort of central Africa, and they come all the way down here for the insects that are going to be blooming as soon as we get a little bit of rainfall. Okay, well, I'm going to, still a little bit undecided now with that wind, but that is the beautiful thing with nature. You're never 100% sure. I'm going to go with tawny. If anyone disagrees, feel free to send through. But in the meantime, we're going to go all the way up to the Mara, and Scott has found some lions.
Tricky stuff there, Steve. I back your final decision. We've got lucky. We've already managed to find some lions with the help of the other vehicles that were here before us. There's that one lying in the grass there, and then a whole bunch of them lying in the shade. And from the brief kind of glimpse I've had of a few of them, it looks to me like a portion of the Uluru pride of lions. It's a very large pride of lions. That's a young male that we can see there. And there's a bigger male that seems to be with them as well on the left, James. That guy over there. He looks like he's got quite a tufty mane, but hard to be certain of who is who and what is what. This area that we're in now is kind of the Awino Pride's turf, so I was really hoping it was going to be them, but alas, it's the wrong lions. We do kind of spend a little bit of time with the Olololo Pride, but ordinarily they spend a lot of their time in areas where either we cannot drive in an off-roading area due to the fact that there's quite a lot of forested areas that there are no roads in and are impossible to drive through, or they go into a non-off-roading area, which makes our lives tricky. So that's why we don't spend too much time with them. You can see some smoke in the background there. I think that's in Tanzania. There's almost a fire burning in Tanzania every day, which is quite interesting. I'm wondering when they're going to run out of grass. Literally for the last 3 months they've been burning almost every single day, as far as we can see from the clouds of smoke, which, like I said, is interesting. I'm no expert on the matter, but just thought I'd let you know about what's going on down there. Now, as you can see, these lions are full-bellied. They breathe in quite deeply, and that's due to all the meat pushing up against their diaphragm. It is also quite warm, so I guess that's a contributing factor to why they are panting. Lindsay, you would like to know, when will young cubs be of a safe age that male lions that are not their father will not kill them? And basically when those cubs no longer need to be looked after by their mothers. So I would say anywhere from about a year and a half, they'll start getting into a safe zone. Anything younger than that, they could get killed, which is obviously terrible. It often happens in waves. Here in the Mara it's very different because the lion dynamics and the way they move territories and split up and change is really abnormal. But in a normal kind of ecosystem where lions behave like lions normally do throughout the rest of Africa, lioness born to a natal pride will stay in that pride, and their territories will be a little bit more kind of permanent. There'll be a lot less flux than we've noticed with the Mara lions. Why? I'm not too sure. And what that means is you'll tend to find a coalition of males coming in and ordinarily being dominant for about 3 or 4 years on average. So when that new coalition comes in, they will kill cubs, even lioness that are trying to defend their cubs. So it'll be kind of a massacre when a new coalition arrives, and then everything will kind of be normal, and cubs will be raised for the next 3 to 4 years until the next coalition comes in, and then there'll be another bout of cub massacring and even lioness that get caught in the crossfire. So I hope that kind of helps you, Lindsay. I think I'm going to leave these lions, guys, and go and look for lions that A, we were hoping to find in the beginning, and B, that are not as full-bellied. So say goodbye to what I think is the Olololo Pride, and we're going to also be saying goodbye to you for now and sending you back down to Steve.
Thank you, Scott. Well done on finding your lions. We have found a beautifully camouflaged bird. It's come out to play with us. It's the red-crested korhaan. It is the male, also known as the suicide bird, because of their display ritual when it comes to attracting females. These are polygynous males. They will mate with many, many females in an area and will provide absolutely no parental care. But to be able to see the females, because they feed on all sorts of things from seeds to grass vegetation, so they occur in quite a large area, and they're very camouflaged. And to be able to see, for the females to be able to see them, they'll do this very loud, this very clicking sound before, something like that, before bursting themselves into the air, flying almost directly upwards, and then banking upside down, showing the black belly to the sky, falling towards the ground in a suicide roll, which obviously attracts the females, and the most daring of the males gets the females to come closer and investigate how beautiful he is. But he's not very interested in playing with us right now. He's just behind that little stump. I'm going to see if I can move back and get him again, because he is a very nice specimen. It's not often that you get them out in the open like this for too long a period. There he is. Magic dragon lizard. It does indeed have chicken legs. The korhaan, in fact, has got it's missing the back toe, so I think chickens have got a back toe, so actually different to a chicken. They've given up completely the foot on the ground. So coursers, korhaans, very similar sort of track. The snow angel in the sand. He was eating a bit of grass seeds there. Thinks we can't see him, but easily identified the male by that black chest with the little sort of white bands on the breast. The female, it's only black on the belly. And they call it the red-crested korhaan because when he gets excited, he actually pops up a little red crest on the back of the head, which I've only ever seen twice. There we go. He is very camouflaged and disappears behind that little stump. He's being very shy. But anyway, we're going to move on and we're going to be checking the west. I'm going to go check our treehouse dam now, see if there's any sign of Tingana. And in the meantime, let's go back over to Sydney and see how he's getting on.
The korhaan is one of the lovely birds. It's one of my favorite birds. I like the way how the males attract their females for mating purposes. So look there, we have got the dwarf mongoose. They just got in there. Dwarf mongoose are one of those very interesting and highly social carnivores. This is the smallest carnivores we have got here in Djuma. They are very much nomadic. They don't stay at the same place every time. So considering their safety, they like to go and stay by this termite mound, and a few days later, they will go and move on to the next one and the next one, just like that, which is good because they can be able to hide away from their predators, because maybe some of the animals who predate them, once they know they're staying there, they can easily get ambushed. But this kind of carnivores, they target the termite mounds, because the termites, they are very good architects, so they can be able to build very nice big mounds which can accommodate a lot of these small carnivores. Because I've seen a troop of these small animals, it was about 60 something the other day, going into the same termite mound. So they are all very much shy at the moment. So we are going to carry on now and see what we can find next. And these kind of small carnivores are interesting because they eat termites. But termites, they bite. I don't know how these kind of small carnivores manage to handle the insects such as the termites, because those kind of termites, I know they can bite, and they bite very hard. Ivy, that is true. They've got very tiny, a little kind of a bare face, and their nose, it looks good. So those kind of small carnivores, how they breed is interesting as well, because we have got one female and a male which are responsible for breeding, and if the other ones try to breed with the male, the little ones, they got killed by the female. So the alpha female is the one who is responsible for breeding purposes. So the other ones are not really allowed to breed. If that does happen by mistake, the little ones will be killed. So that is a very difficult social structure. So it means the rest of the females, they come very close to the oldest female, which is responsible to breed, just waiting for her to die so that they can take over. They don't have to show that sign that they are wishing her to die. They just have to come close to her, monitoring and checking, and say to themselves, when is she dying, so that we can take over and breed. So it's very much windy at the moment here. The giraffe, we do see them very often, and this morning I saw the fresh tracks, and also now I saw some fresh tracks of the giraffes. Those are not difficult animals to find. The challenge is now they are challenged with the food availability. Because if you can check, the vegetation looks very much dry. We only have a few evergreen trees which are still having the leaves. And these animals, they must have to travel long distances in search of food. So giraffes are not that water dependent. It's one of those animals which can be able to urinate few drops of water to keep the moisture as much as possible in their bodies during the dry season. So you won't see them like every day going to the water hole. Scenic. The antelopes which can survive much longer without having water are the animals such as the gemsbok, the oryx gazelle. The oryx gazelle can be able to go for about 2 to 4 weeks without drinking water. But also they've got a way of conserving water. They don't urinate much. They just urinate a little bit of water to keep the moisture as much as possible, like what the giraffe is doing. So it seems like the buffaloes are in this area here. We might be lucky with the buffaloes as well. From the tracks I have seen just now, I can see that the buffaloes must be somewhere hiding in this area. Oh, there's some tracks here. Maybe this is the tracks for Thandi and Kalamba. So I can see that there's been some movement going up and down. So I'm gonna have to turn here and try to follow these tracks, because to me, these tracks, they look very new. The challenge is it has been windy since this morning. So now let's go to Scott by this Maasai Mara and see what he's having at the moment.
Well, that's exciting news, and I've got faith that despite the tricky conditions, that leopard is going to be found. Quite a cool scene here. These poor ostriches seem to be baking in the sun. 2 ladies, and you can see she was kind of almost panting and trying to hold her wings out. Let's check this one a little bit closer so that they are not blanketed by feathers. Look at her mouth open. Shame, girl. Too warm, despite the fact that you're not wearing any pants. Ostriches only wear clothes on the top half of their body. And I'm told you're looking at a korhaan earlier, which looks like a mini ostrich. I agree. Despite the fact, like I said, that these ostriches have this bizarre thing that they only wear clothes upstairs, not downstairs, with naked legs, as well as a naked neck. Very good. I'm told one of you just saw a clip of me, probably on the BBC channel, in Kenya with some Samburu people. I'm quite fortunate in that Nat Geo and BBC both like me. I'm only joking. It was just through complete default. I was just fortunate in that Nikki and I were both managing a camp up in Kenya in Samburu, and a documentary was done on extraordinary hotels, of which our little lodge was a part of a Kenyan outfit. That's quite impressive. And that was Hazel. So happy that you got to see me there. It was quite interesting. It wasn't what I'm used to. As all of you are aware, we do, especially back then we only used to do live stuff. Now we've started doing a little bit of non-live stuff. So having to do a million takes and listening to people telling you what to say was quite a little bit interesting. Anyway, glad you saw that, Hazel. Hello, Margarita. You would like to know if ostriches get eaten by any of the predators. And yes, they certainly do. There's kind of two different categories, though, that I'd like to break it down into. Starting with the adult ostriches, they can and are taken down by lion from time to time. Who knows, I'm guessing even maybe a coalition of cheetah in a certain area where maybe food is scarce, or easier prey is scarce, that even a cheetah would take down an ostrich. And I'm pretty certain a big male leopard would also try its luck. So all three of the big cats here, I think, are capable of taking down ostriches. It's something that I've never seen and something I really hope to see. I just think it would be quite impressive to see the collision and the impact and all the feathers going flying if a lion tackled one of these beasts. But then, more importantly, Margarita, we must remember that these ostriches are tiny just after they hatch, and they are very vulnerable. So I'm sure the babies get eaten by just about anything that comes across them. Snakes, jackals, birds of prey, lions, leopards, cheetah, you name it. Yeah. Sinek, I think it was Sinek, you'd like to know how do they keep their eggs cool? I guess by standing over them in the heat of the day and when the sun's directly above them would provide the eggs with some shade. So yeah, that would be my theory. I've never actually come across an ostrich nest in the wild. It's something I'm desperately hoping on stumbling upon. Interestingly, I'm told that how ostrich nests work are quite interesting. Multiple females will lay eggs in the same patch. It's not really a nest, it's just on the ground. One male will oversee all of those females, so he'll ordinarily, I think, be the father of all those chicks. But out of the females, there's a hierarchy. And the female that's the queen will be the one whose eggs are kind of in the center of the clutch, and the less dominant females will be on the kind of outskirts of the nest. I stand to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure I read that once upon a time. So yeah, once, I mean, still on the subject of ostriches and their eggs, Jamie was lucky enough to come across a lioness up here in the Mara carrying an ostrich egg in her mouth. It was the most bizarre scene. I don't think they ever worked out what the lioness did with it. They kind of blinked and looked up and the lioness no longer had the egg in her mouth. So whether she did manage to crack it or she just gave up and dropped it, I'm not too sure. Marvelous. Another interesting thing, again, I stand to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure it's 16 average-sized chicken eggs will make up the size of one-time ostrich egg. Safari Aussie, yes, ostriches, I would say, are twice the size of emus in terms of weight and height. Yeah, emu is a lot smaller than an ostrich. Why don't you Google ostrich versus emu? Maybe there's a picture of a comparison, and then you'll get a good idea. But I'm pretty sure it's kind of half-half. Such bizarre animals. Puma, you would like to know if it's true that ostriches live to over 40 years of age. I don't have a clue, but it certainly is possible. If you think of a lot of the parrot species, they can live, at least in captivity, into the hundreds. A lot of the eagles will live to 40 or 50 years of age, only becoming sexually mature when they're about 8 years of age on average. So yes, it's definitely not unlikely that they could live for that period of time. Marvelous. I think we're going to keep moving because the ostriches are quite far away from us now. Well, that was a very peaceful scene. So we are kind of getting into the area. We're going to take a road up and then start following this mountain down to the south in the hope that the Owino Pride are going to be somewhere here. Failing that, it is going to take us into the direction of where the Sausage Tree Pride were last seen. Both the three individuals, of which there's a mother with 2 cubs, as well as Kinky Tail, who is on honeymoon with one of her new boyfriends. Very, very good. Okay, we're going to send you back down to Steve.
Thank you, Scott. Ostriches, well, I've never seen one getting caught either. They're very fast though. In these dense areas they do get caught though. I've never seen it. They taste so good there's nothing left. But cheetah, lion, I suppose leopard as well, been known to take them down. I haven't seen many in the savannah, to be honest with you, especially where there's predators, lots of predators, and where it's dense bush. They like more open areas. They do very well in dry climates where there's fewer predators and where they can really just get away from them because they can see much further. It's difficult to stalk an ostrich in the Kalahari Desert. Anyway, nice protein for their eggs. We're down at Treehouse Dam. We're just popping up onto the little wall here. Have a look. It's not too much happening. You know, we do our boundary patrols daily, and oh, there we go. There's a cute little bird right here by the water's edge. A little bit of a bum shake, a little bit of a bum wiggle. There he is. Picking up all sorts of arthropods or insects from the water's edge. Nice straight beak. Longish legs for their body size. And that little bum shake is quite characteristic for this particular bird. And if you look on the shoulder, there's a bit of a C. Oh, he caught something. Oh, he's got it. Quickly, eat it. And this is the common sandpiper, easily identified by that bum wiggle that he does. And if he turns his shoulder again, you'll see on the shoulder there's a bit of a white C that comes down around the shoulder to join the breast. Come on, turn for me there, sir. Kind of like a little arch. There we go. I don't think he's got his 100% plumage on. He might have gone through a little bit of a molt. It's not a very clear C at the moment. Very good. Lots and lots of arthropods, insects are blooming on waters like this. You can see there's a bit of a green tinge. There we go. There's a 3-banded plover behind him. You can see a different length of leg, different length of beak. So they feed at different sort of layers within the water itself. Very similar sort of food that they feed on. But let's see if there's going to be any behavior between them. If there was a blacksmith lapwing here, you'd see it chasing the other ones off. Oh, and the turtle dove. A nice little bit of comparison. No, it's not scubit. I don't know where does scubit hang out. I've missed the whole scubit story. I need to be filled in on that next. Oh, scubit on the dam cam. Okay, he's a blacksmith lapwing scubit. Of course he is. I bet you Kirsty named him. I'm guessing Kirsty named him scubit. But anyway, you can see there's a bit of a green tinge to the water. That's from the organic material that's floated down, and you get these algal blooms, which quite often take a bit of oxygen out of the water, but also can proliferate insects. Fish that live in these waters will feed on the insects as well as the organic material, but it is definitely needing a recharge of moisture so as to bring back the life that is inherently within this little pan. There you go. Look at the size difference between the common sandpiper and the Cape turtle dove. Yes, Angel, it is. The bum wiggle is the cutest thing. And when they really get going, it is quite something to behold. They really, really shake that bum. You can we should actually do a little bit of a soundtrack to one of them when they do their little bum wiggle. But it's quite interesting to see now. You can see the length of the legs, how deep he's actually going into the water. And that is how a lot of aquatic birds, if you look in any bird book in any country, you'll notice there's an enormous number of aquatic bird species. And if you just look at them, there's just slight differences in the length of the leg, the length of the beak, and if those are the same, well, then the shape of the beak might be different. It might be straight, it might be decurved, which means it goes down, or it might be recurved in the case of the pied avocet that goes up. So that's what allows all of these birds to sort of live in a very similar environment, but to facilitate a very different feeding niche. If two birds are too similar, well, the more dominant of the two will outcompete the other one. That's why you get such an enormous amount of diversity between these aquatic birds. There we go. Give us one more bum wiggle. One more bum wiggle before we go. Well, it seems like Scott has managed to find something that some of our very younger viewers wanted to see. Let's go and see.
Oh, happy that Steve has found some wiggling bottoms for you guys. We're getting lucky. Lots of animals. And this cute little Ellie. Now let's take a look and see how far along and how far advanced it is. It seems actually quite good at using its trunk. Often these youngsters can get quite frustrated with that long nose of theirs, as it takes them a long time to kind of get to grips with them. And Christopher and I think Billy, you guys both requested to see elephants. Well, there we go. And thank you very much for asking, because if you don't tell us what you want to see, then it makes it very, very difficult for us to know what to show you. One thing that I would like James to show you is the beautiful clouds and rays of sun poking out. What a scene. How beauteous is that? Aren't we so lucky to be exploring this incredible place with you guys? And the fact that there's some ellies in the scene as well. Lots of ellies, actually, as you can see now as James introduces you to the rest of the herd. And they all seem to be very, very peaceful and happy. It's a good time of year for them. Not the best. Things are drying out here before the short rains in kind of November and December. And these guys are lucky in that they've got quite an array of different vegetation that they can feed on. Not down here in the plains, it's mainly grass and also small little saplings and plants that are sprouting up. But further up on the Olololo Escarpment, which we were looking at earlier, that big kind of mountain range, there's lots of kind of forests and bigger trees. So they just have to walk up and down the hill, which is obviously a little bit tiring because it's a steep hill. But elephants are well equipped to move big distances, and we often find them coming back down into the reserve in the early mornings after heading up to forage in the kind of fringe areas where people also have access to grazing their cattle during the day. J.R. Weinefeld, you would like to know if elephants will only mate once to get pregnant or if they need to mate multiple times. I think they will need to mate multiple times to make sure. I think most wild animals will mate multiple times as a general rule, not just once off. But I guess just like us as humans, if the timing is right and everything goes to plan, one copulation could in fact get the little swimmers to the egg, and therefore the process of the baby being developed begins. So yeah, good question. I've only ever seen elephants mating once. Oh, is she going to shake the tree? Or is she just kind of... Come on. Oh yes, I love it when they do that. And the fruits from this Balanites tree are kind of an oval, almost acorn-sized and shaped fruit. They're green in color, and the ellies like snacking on them. So there's another example of other things that they get to snack on down here in the plains, not just the grass, as I said earlier, and the small saplings, but also the fruits from these trees. I mean, she made moving that tree look easy, but let's not forget that there is an immense amount of power required to be able to shake a tree that size. Kaj, you would like to know if elephants have a favorite kind of plant to feed on? As far as I'm aware, it is lush green grass. That is the favorite thing to feed on. And let's take a look at the ones in front of us here, James. That's exactly what these ones are doing. They're capitalizing on the short grass over here, and in the areas where the grass is short like this, and there's not much of the old dead yellow grass, it allows kind of space and sunlight for fresh green shoots to pop up. So that's what they're feeding on there. And, you know, if you think about it, grass, off they go. Grass, when it is lush and green, is very easy for them to pluck. It's very soft and easy for them to chew on, often high in sugars. So I think, yes, grass is their favorite. But they have to be resourceful. They don't always have green grass. And I guess, you know, in different areas, elephants will have different kind of favorite treats or fruits to feed on. Down in South Africa, during the summer months, the marula fruit gets elephants running from tree to tree. And the elephants up here don't have that privilege. They don't have marula fruits, but they've got other fruits, I guess, they can feed on. Safari Aussie, I couldn't agree with you more. You have just complimented James Kayamoe Morethi on his slick camera work, and I think he is doing an excellent job. Photobomb. How was that for timing? To test James's final test, a little car popped through into the frame. He's chuckling. I wish I could show you him chuckling. It would just be tricky, and it wouldn't be able to focus on him. Because if I come too close, James wouldn't be able to focus on me. I have to be over here for him to focus, and James was very close to the camera. So even if I swung it around quickly, I wouldn't be able to show you him very effectively. The fact that he is twice my size is also a good reason why I wouldn't want to try and get the camera out of his grip, because he could discipline me very effectively. James is a Goliath of a man, yet very delicate when it comes to wielding the camera. Howdy! Everyone's so friendly out here. Marvelous. Something that's quite funny that happens often from time to time is that people come up to say hello to us, and they're like, "Oh, we're your biggest fans," often Americans. And I'm like, "Really? How long have you been following Safari Live?" And they just look at us with a blank face. It's because they've seen the Nat Geo Wild emblem on the side of the car. So we get that quite often. But earlier we did just meet some Safari Live fans, and it was wonderful to chat to them. So make sure you let us know when you do come out to either the Mara or the Sabi Sands. It would be great to see you. Very good. We're going to keep moving along and send you back to Steve.
Thanks, Scotty. Well done for finding some elephants. We've gone and done the same. We've got some southern African elephants. They are the exact same species as what Scott has got for you up there. So, Billy and Christopher, we have found you some more elephants. Yay! Definitely one of my favorite animals to see. And this, so Scott was showing you his elephants pulling up the grass and eating the grass. Well, here, this individual has pushed over a tree, and that is the roots that he is ripping up. He is stripping the bark off of the roots. I'm trying to have a little look-see and see what tree it is that he's damaged there, but I'm not 100% sure. There's not too much of it left. It could be a bush willow by the color of them, but there you can see he's got the bark in his mouth. Unlike the Mara elephants where you see those tusks, the tusks down here are very dirty. You see how dirty they are. The ivory up in the Mara is very clean because they don't spend too much time using them to gouge into trees and to rip up roots, where that darkness on there is just basically stains from the vegetation. There we go. He's busy moving a log. He's going to use his foot. Look at that, with absolute ease. He was ripping the root again, using the end of his toe. Very, very cool to see. Freddie, age 7, how are you? I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon with us. You want to know why elephants have tusks? Well, first of all, they use the tusks for gouging into trees. And they use it to basically tear into the tree, and then they can rip the bark, and the bark comes off in strips. And they like to eat the bark because the bark is essentially the blood system of the tree, and it takes all of the nutrients from the ground up into the leaves, and the leaves take all of the nutrients and turn them into food, and then that moves all around the plant. And so that's the elephant gets all of their delicious nutrients from those bits and pieces. And then they also use them for breaking branches, and they use it for tearing at roots if they can get at them. And also they can use them for fighting. Big male elephants will use them for fighting against each other, and females also can use them to quite good effect against something that is annoying them, any predator that might be. With all the weight behind those tusks, they are very, very formidable weapons. This individual is very interested at what is on the ground there, digging now. The elephants are very, very smart. They know that the plants here are adapted for fire. They take all of their nutrients into the soil, into the roots. And the elephant just goes, oh well, here you are, let me dig you up. Spend a lot of time digging this time of year, and it is quite a bit of disturbance that they create. It's all natural, it's all part and parcel with the savanna biome. Look how he's digging. You can smell what he's looking for there, and he's just trying to get access to it, and as soon as he can get his trunk on it, he's going to rip it up. There we go. Look how he's found the root. Now let's see if he uses his tusk at any point here. He's using his foot. Once he's got it, he's going to lift it up to his tusk. Oh, are you? Here we go. There's the tusk. Now watch how he's going to try break it with the tusk there. Ah, very good. It's like a crowbar, a leverage bar. And now that it's in his mouth, well, the root has lost the game. Now it's in his mouth, he's going to corkscrew it all the way through. Look how it's rotating like a corkscrew. He's using his trunk just to guide it through. He's not eating the wood that's inside. He's only eating the outer layer of bark that's on there. And there's also lots and lots of medicinal value in the bark of the roots. Sometimes there's more in the root, sometimes there's more sort of compounds in the roots than there are in the actual bark of the tree. So maybe he's feeling a little bit sick. He's getting some medicine there. I can't tell you what tree it is he's feeding on. It's very hard from this distance and just with the root to see what it is. But I'm sure the elephant knows. It's got a particular type of smell. Well, this elephant is going to enjoy his corkscrewing of that bark. Look how it comes out clean on the other side, like a little bit of candy floss. But while we stay here with these elephants, it seems like Sydney has found a very interesting animal.
I have got one of the interesting animal, which is unlike the elephant who does rip off the barks. This one now is a grazer, the waterbuck. So the waterbucks, you can see, this is a very small family. The male waterbucks, they carry horns, and the females don't carry horns. But if you look at the arrangement of the horns for the waterbuck, it looks dangerous because the horns, they face forward. And facing forward can be dangerous to anything coming from the front. You can see they all got a round white color at the back, which serve as a follow me sign. This helps when they are running away from danger. They can be able to spot each other from it. Look at that beautiful arrangement. They are posing as if Sydney and them got an agreement for this photo shoot this afternoon. So you can see the waterbucks have got very fluffy hairs. The fluffy has, during this kind of weather when it's overcast, helps them because it does cool the body temperature. But when it's hot, it does have a negative. So when it's hot, it does have a negative impact. April, that is true. It looks like pin the tail in the donkey. So if you look at this waterbuck right by the neck looks very much thick and fluffy. So they use this neck as a bib in order to display their strength for challenging each other with regards to the mating activities. So this neck has got a positive influence when it comes to the choosing of mates by the waterbuck. So waterbuck is one of those animals which can be able to eat the droppings of their little ones when they are new, just to hide away the evidence that they have got some little ones. And other small animals such as steenboks, they also do that kind of a behavior. So these animals, their design, it has been done as if it's going to be an aquatic species, but they don't really spend much in water. Yes, they can swim, but not when it's hot. They can only try and swim when chased away by the predators, just to try and get away from danger. Because they know that by the water holes, the predators, they are very reluctant to water. They don't want to touch water, most of them. So these animals can just go in there and outrun the predators. So these animals are territorial, but is one of the animals who does not use the droppings and the urine for demarcation purposes. These animals secrete kind of a very oily substance, and that oily substance, they use it as a waterproof so that when they go to the water holes, the hairs does not absorb the water. And that it has got a very distinctive smell, and that smell for them is good enough to advertise the males for territorial activities. So I am just going to pull forward a little bit and see here where these waterbucks were coming from. If there is any other interesting animal at the moment, I can see that down here I am at the Buffalo's Hook Dam, and there is some hippopotamus also standing close to each other by the dam. So I'm just going to pull forward so that we can have a better sighting of the hippopotamus. So there's even the Egyptian geese. So the dam is now starting to become dry a little bit. The water is getting lower every time. These hippos looks very big. This hippopotamus looks very big. So the one on the left, it looks like a very big rock when the head is underwater. It's like one big hippo next to the big rock. So the hippopotamus, they are so very well gifted because they can survive in water and outside. Look at that. The one on the left, if you look at the outer layers of the ice, just look at the outer layers of the ice, is dark. This one has got the pink outer layer of the ice, the one we are seeing now. So that one probably must be the female. If you check at the eyes on the other one who is on the left now, you will see the outer layers of the ice is dark. So that's a male. So the one in front, it means it's a female. So this one behind is a male. So that is how you can easily distinguish between the male and the female hippopotamus. So these animals can be able to submerge and have their nose underwater for approximately 6 minutes. So I think the weather like this is so good for them because the sun is not too hot. But sometimes when the sun is hot, they come outside the water as well to bask for the sun. When it's overcast, you can see now they are relaxed right in the dam. You can see when the mouth part is right underwater, the head, the eyes, they can still see outside. So, but since my arrival here, they haven't show any sign of irritation, because normally when they are getting irritated, they always open the mouth and show off their ability to bite. So now let's go to Scott, who's got something to show us at the moment. I've just... So you can see that this hippopotamus here, at the moment, they are grazers, but they are just looking at the riverbanks. This is not the best time for the hippopotamus to come out and feed outside here and also by the banks. They will come out shortly after dark, and they can travel long distances after that. These animals can go approximately 15 to 30 kilometers one night. That is a very long distance, but the distance obviously is determined by the availability of food. Look at that. You can see those wounds there. For these wounds to heal, it takes time because some other birds, such as the oxpeckers, they come and clean these animals, and which is a very good thing to do. These animals, they create relationships with the other species for the benefit of both species, because that is a relationship which is called a mutualism, because these hippopotamus, they are being cleaned by these kind of oxpeckers, where oxpeckers, they are getting the ticks as food, but oxpeckers, they end up opening some of the wounds wide. So these animals, they don't have sweat glands, the hippopotamus, but they have got an oily substance that they secrete when it's too hot. It looks like a red oil. So that is what they are using in order to cool the body temperature. And in a more, I didn't copy the question very well. I think there is a challenge here with regards to my communication. But I just... Yeah, if you can repeat that question, FC. I think I was having a challenge with my mic, but now I can hear you nicely. Minamu, the hippopotamus, they give birth in water. And the little one, shortly after that, got to suckle. So they don't give birth outside in water. You can see that this hippopotamus is concentrating a lot. It's right looking at us. So when they've got, the little ones can be very much protective, the hippopotamus. Because remember, hippopotamus share the same area with the other dangerous predators such as the crocodiles. So now let's go to the Maasai Mara, where Scott is having something interesting this afternoon.
Thank you, Sydney. It is an absolutely beautiful evening here in the Mara, and I'm told some of you are hoping on seeing James Moravy. So, what we've done is we've swapped roles. Say hello, everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is James Moravy. cameraman.
So now that we've got James in front of the lens, I'm sure a lot of you are wanting to know a little bit about him. So we'll start by asking him, what is your favorite animal?
My favorite animal is the elephant.
Okay, and now I'm going to put you on the spot, now that I can, and ask you to please make the noise of an elephant. Not bad, not bad. James, I think you're a natural. I should actually keep an eye out and make sure that you don't take my job. Anyway, everyone, I'm sure you've all enjoyed seeing the man in the flesh. It might be a little bit difficult for you to hear him because he isn't mic'd up like I am, but bye-bye. And I hope you enjoyed that little brief glimpse of this legend of a man. See you later. We're going to send you back to Steve.
Bye-bye, viewers.
Well, how funny was that? Nice to see James on camera for a change, for the first time, I believe. I mean, what kind of a thing is that? The cameraman is driving the vehicle. Who would ever have thought something like that could happen? Well, we're still out and about, busy looking for some tracks on the road. Sometimes we stall the engine and we have to start again. That's just because we're wearing funny socks, I suppose. That might be the case. Trying to find the gear. We're still looking for some tracks in and around the watering holes. Nothing so far has revealed itself to us. Looking for tracks on the ground. But while we are looking for the tracks, we're going to go back over to Sydney and see if he's had any luck.
Oh, I didn't know that Senzo is falling in love with my job. So he's driving Senzo today on camera. Interesting. So I will be heading down much more towards the Galagopen area, but much more from the Basfalls Hook cut line to see if I can pick up any tracks of the spotted cats here, because I can see that both Tingana and Hosana get disappeared somewhere in that area. No tracks at all. So these animals, they are more or less at the same place. My favorite cat safari, Abby, is the lions. So the lions, how the lions walk, you can see that these animals, they are so proud of themselves. You can see when they are walking, whether hungry or not, lions, how they walk as a pride or as a coalition is fascinating. Specifically the Unkuhuma pride, the pride of 11 lions together in front of the vehicle is interesting. So now let's go back to Steve, who is now driving.
A little bit of tomfoolery this afternoon. We thought we'd just confuse you all and see who's paying attention. Well, we've got a beautiful bird over there. Well, it's just moving. I'm going to have to move up now. Can you get a sense? Oh, it's moved. Let me go around the corner. Beautiful bird hanging around twin dams now. He's going to come through the open there. I'm going to just position myself here. He's going to come out into the open. Let's be patient. Let's see if he comes through. What bird is it going to be? It's behind that bush. Is he moving? You can probably hear the wind on my microphone. It's very, very windy. There he is. Is it he or is it a she? That is the question. Those of you who've been watching the show for some time would be able to identify not only the species there, which is the saddle-billed stork, but whether it is a male or a female. And you can quite easily see that the eye is black and there's a little wattle just underneath the beak, underneath the chin, so to speak. You can see the two little wattles on either side of the face. I wonder if any of you out there can tell me if this is a male or female. You've got a 50% chance of getting it right. Talking about aquatic birds, this is one of the specialists with the longer legs and a very strong, robust beak. Let me see if I can get us into a better position to have a look. Now that I'm back in the driver's seat, try not to stall it. Senzi. I know that everybody loves seeing Senzo on camera. Probably the highlight of the day. James and then Senzo on camera. Oh, April. Woo la la. April has just said, I know it's only September, but Senzo, will you please be my Valentine? Here we go. Let's have a look at the saddle-billed stork again. Senzo is just giving me a very wry smile, April. A very, very wry smile. Have a look at the difference that this bird has to the bird we saw before. Bit of more of a stabbing motion, trying to disturb the soil. It uses its feet as well to disturb the soil. Oh, Beard, you have got it 100% correct. See if anybody else can follow suit. There's a hornbill popping in from the left and the Egyptian goose at the back. MK Safari Aussie, you all got it correct. It is indeed a male saddle-billed stork. The female has got a yellow eye. The male has got a dark eye and those very little yellow wattles on the side of the face, which very strange to see. I mean, what purpose they serve? Probably the only purpose is mate recognition, but other than that, I don't really see the purpose of these little, almost like earrings hanging off the bottom of his face. So he's probably looking for some catfish that might be in the sediment underneath the water there. He's using his very large feet to disturb the sediment and then a very powerful stabbing beak to catch anything that might move. When you see yellow-billed storks moving through the water, they actually move with their beak in the water, and anything that touches their beak, it's like a hair trigger. It just snaps shut like a trap. You can see this stork behaves very differently indeed. So this is when you often find your aquatic birds descending upon watering sources. When the water gets to a very small level, it becomes much easier to catch whatever might be in there. Betty B, that's a great question. Offhand, I couldn't tell you how tall it is, but I'm going to have a look. Saddle-billed stork. Probably the most beautiful stork that we get. So we're a bit far away from it to get a proper perspective, but it's 1.5 meters tall, so it's pretty tall for a bird. That is huge. I mean, you can just see it in comparison to the Egyptian geese at the background there. The Egyptian goose is pretty much the normal size of or a little bit bigger than most ducks, and that saddle-billed stork is in the water and is still towering above. But beautiful to see. I mean, last I heard there was only 60 breeding pairs of these in the entire Kruger National Park, so they are on the sort of decline. It's always special, very special to see one. Fantastic. Well, we're going to continue on from our saddle-billed stork. We're going to take a little bit of a tour in the Mulwati drainage. Because the wind is like this, the animals are all going to be secreting themselves down in there. So let's go and see what we come up with. Okay, so we're going to be going just into the drainage now. We might lose a little bit of signal, but in the meantime, we're going to be going all the way back up to Scotty D. Let's see what he's up to.
It's one of the most magical pieces of Djuma. You can drive it for, I would say, probably a mile and a half in the riverbed. And it's one of my favorite things to do whilst on Djuma. It's just such an exciting place to explore. The sun is now dipped behind the escarpment and it's got quite chilly. The wind's picked up, and I'm hoping these conditions are going to make I should have said, Nikki's just said, no comments from James's cameo. I was so busy trying to follow the procedure of relating to where you've come from, and I guess I just waffled a bit much about the Mulwati. But yes, I'm sure a lot of you loved seeing James and Senzo in front of the camera. I see Senzo is looking quite smart with his hair at the moment. He's had some extensions possibly, I think, put on. A new look. I think it's pretty cool. And it's quite bizarre actually, now that we've been chatting and talking about it, how you always hear who we teamed up with, but some of you, and a lot of you, will never know actually who that person is, what they look like other than their name. So I hope you enjoyed that. We certainly did. James says now he understands why the presenters go to sleep early and the cameramen stay up late. He found that quite stressful. But I guess they've also got their work cut out for them, wielding the camera live. Very different to non-live wildlife filming, which is what most wildlife cameramen know how to do. So they've also got to be on point. Ginger, you would like to know which pride of lions is my favorite. The Owino pride, probably. They're the smallest pride in the Mara Triangle, just 2 lioness. We've also been lucky enough to follow their lives very closely over the last year that we've been here. So yeah, for me, it's the Owino pride. Also for this recent Gauntlet TV series, I would spend a lot of time with them. Because there weren't really cheetah around for us, or at least we didn't know where they were. So having spent a lot of time with them recently and getting to see those youngsters kind of growing up into adults, and also kind of the trials and tribulations that that small pride face, especially with hyena. We had an incredible sighting with them catching a zebra. The zebra broke free. They managed to tackle it down again, and then within a minute, not one but 2 clans of hyenas swooped in onto the scene and stole the kill from them, and then started fighting over the kill between themselves. So yeah, lots of good memories, but that was probably the highlight, the most high action kind of sighting that we shared with them recently. And hopefully soon we will find them. Oh, and a lot of you are mentioning how much you loved the rhino, elephant and Owino pride sighting that we had. I can't believe I forgot about that. I should have mentioned that now, but thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I mean, that was absolutely incredible. Jeandre, who was filming that with me, and I were both absolutely blown away and felt super fortunate to be being able to have shared such an incredible scene with you guys. It really was quite something. It was it was a nerve-wracking evening though. The reason being is that there are park rangers that go out every single day to stick with. Okay, I'll continue the story a little bit later and send you across to some Wahlberg's eagle who are being cute in some way or another.
Yes, they are being very cute, this pair of Wahlberg's eagles, and it's so nice to be able to see them together now. It's hard for you to tell from this picture, but just look how much more delicate their beak is compared to that of the tawny that we saw earlier. And this is a breeding pair that's doing a whole lot of allo grooming right now. They've just recently arrived back from their forages or up to the north, where they were doing all sorts of feeding up in the north there, to come all the way down here and breed. They don't go further than that. They don't go over the Sahara Desert. They stay in sort of north middle Africa, and they come all the way back down here. And the only raptor species that we have that I know of in South Africa that breeds in the wintertime, which is quite interesting. All of the other raptors that stay here, not in the winter, sorry, in the summertime, my mistake, that breeds in the summertime. All the other raptors choose to breed in our winter time when it is much cooler. And it's quite interesting in the fact that that is why the Wahlbergs then put their nest about a meter and a half below the canopy of the tree, so as to keep their eggs and nest sheltered from the sun. See, the one on the right is a pale morph, and the one on the left is the dark morph. You see that crest on the back of the head, which is so characteristic. Oh, look, he's having a proper little cuddle session there. Proper little preening of the head. I mean, everybody likes head scratches, don't you? I love head scratches. Everybody loves them. Even the Wahlbergs needs a head scratch from time to time. And this allo grooming in your large predators, raptors, it's all mating for life. So it's important for them to clean each other and reaffirm their bonds. Chris, it's hard to say really which one's the male and female. I mean, there's not too much in it really. There's about 300 grams in weight for the female. So they look very, very similar, but the female just looks a little bit bigger. That's all. So I'm going to guess the one on the right, the pale, just because it looks a bit bigger. I don't know if you all agree. It's standing a bit taller, isn't it? So seeing them together like that, the comparison between them would just be a little bit of size, really. So I'm going to guess that the female is the pretty blonde. Ooh. And the male is the chocolate brown, who's now scratching himself on the neck. And she's still got her head down, waiting for some more head scratches. Can you see how more delicate the beak is from the side? It's not a very pronounced beak. It's a similar sort of size to the eye, really, the end of the beak. It's quite sharp and more stubby, whereas the tawny eagle's beak really comes out a bit. And if you could put them together right now, the size is hugely different between the two. Here we go, a little reciprocation. Also wants a bit of a head scratch. Menamu, they've got quite a varied diet, the Wahlberg's eagles, but they eat a lot of birds, reptiles, small mammals, also frogs, and even insects. So that's why they come here in our summer months, and that's why they're able to breed, because they're able to feed on sort of a smaller ratio of food. So they feed on insects as well as frogs, rodents, which they really boom in our summertime. And obviously that's how they outcompete or compete against animals such as the tawny eagle. But because there's not that many of them, those sort of prey species around in our winter months, it pays for them to leave, go somewhere where there's rainfall, where there's another surge of small prey items, and then they come back well fed and strong and ready for breeding. The tawny eagle, being a scavenger, quite a well-known scavenger, will stay here and scavenge off the carcasses of others, but also feeding on scrub hares and the like that are around, but would outcompete the smaller Wahlbergs if they stuck around. Yes, Francis from Israel, it does look like they're doing some de-fleeing. And what's very interesting when birds do this kind of preening, this grooming display, they always do it away from the nest, because there's no point in getting the parasites off of your body if they're just going to fall into the nest or the roost where you're going to spend the night. And now it's actually quite easy to see the one on the right is considerably larger than the one on the left. So definitely I would say the female is the blonde and the male is not. Very good. You can see the wind in their feathers up in the tree. Yes, Monique. Monique says that the pale has thicker everything. Yes, she does. It was hard to see when her head was bowed down in her anticipation for the next head scratch. But now that they're sitting at a sort of normal sort of posture, you can easily see that she's more thicker set from the shoulder all the way down. And there you can easily see the crest on both of them now. The tawny's got more of a rounded, sort of longer neck. I hope that is quite clear for everybody to see from our comparison earlier. We are a little bit closer to these Wahlbergs than we were earlier to the tawny eagle. Menamu, generally with your large raptors, both parents will do a certain amount of the incubation, but the females being a little bit bigger spend time on the nest, and the males being a bit smaller, it's more energy efficient for them to be doing more of the foraging and the feeding, and so the female will spend most of the time. I think the Wahlberg eagle, they both will actually do a little bit of the incubation. I think so. But generally, the male will do more of the feeding, while she does more of the sitting on the nest. He's smaller, so he's more agile. She's a little bit bigger, so she can give a little bit more warmth to those eggs. But once they are hatched, well, then they can both go and do the foraging and bringing food back to the youngsters. Let's have a little look here and see if it says either one. Yes, mostly by the female, the incubation. Mostly by the female incubation, but then once they are hatched, they will both assist. So eggs generally one. They'll only generally have one, but rarely two eggs can be done. But generally they can have two clutches in a season if they lose the first one. So that's quite interesting, which is in case, that the season can be quite long in South Africa, and if they don't do very, very well on the first one, that's a problem. If you only lay one egg, there's no insurance policy there. So why they've chosen that as a strategy is difficult to say. Most eagles, we know, lay two eggs as the insurance policy, and the bigger of the two, or the first one to hatch, will often kill the first one. Something called Cainism, after the Bible, Cain and Abel killing his brother. But the Wahlbergs, for some reason, will lay one. And if that one fails, well, there's still enough time for them to lay it again, which is quite interesting. Well, the wind is abating a little bit. We are in the drainage line. We're still looking for any animals that might be hiding down here. Let's keep going along. But in the meantime, I think Sydney is still on the search for spots. Let's go see how he's getting on.
It was nice seeing the Wahlberg grooming each other. I am now here by the Galagopan area, where I've just seen the tracks of one of the male leopards heading down much more this side, and the track was very, very fresh. So I'm trying to check these closest areas here and all the roads coming down this side, as where the tracks went to, there was no road. So I'm hoping to see these leopards around here. No tracks coming down here at the moment, but these tracks, they are coming down much more towards this area. So I'm just going to drive in here, park the vehicle and listen. Maybe I might pick up some of the alarm calls. Let's go to the Maasai Mara and see Scott, how he is doing there. I will be here checking if I'm going to pick up something.
Good idea, Sydney. Stopping and listening is often a very good option in the Sabi Sands because it's so thick. And I must say, I'm quite envious of him coming across those fresh tracks. It's the thing that I probably miss the most from the Sabi Sands is the ability to be able to track and find animals. Here it's more spotting, which is equally a kind of not equally but almost equally as exciting form of a treasure hunt, being able to scan with the binoculars very long distances and spot something so far away that you can't actually be sure whether it's a lion or a cheetah or a rock. Get a little bit closer and then reveal. Okay, now before I rushed you off to that cute scene of the Wahlberg's eagles kissing, how bizarre, I was about to start telling you a story about what went down kind of behind the scenes with the rhino, elephant and Owino pride interaction that we were discussing a little bit earlier. And basically there's a ranger team that specifically focuses all their time and attention every single day on finding the black rhino, sitting with them, keeping track of the various black rhino that they know exist here and making sure that they are safe. So they were in the sighting and they asked us to make sure that the lions don't eat the baby rhino. To which I said, guys, it's just the three youngsters that are, you know, the three young sub-adults that are stalking the baby rhino. It's just playful. The two mothers are sleeping over there. There's nothing to worry about. Off they went. We were left alone there. 5 minutes later, the bull rhino and the mother of the calf started mating. And when, as soon as that happened, one of the adult lioness immediately saw and thought, "Ooh, I've got an opportunity here to catch this baby black rhino." And she started sneaking up towards it. So Jeandro and I were like, "Now what?" Thankfully, she kind of lost interest and didn't jump onto that baby's rhino's back. Otherwise, we would have had some paperwork in the morning. I've got a way of tending to find myself getting into paperwork situations, and I thought that was going to be another one. So thankfully, we got lucky. Very good. I'm told James Richards posted a picture of Nikki driving around back in the day. So some of you would have got to see her. Quite a babe. I got lucky. I'm sure a lot of you will agree with me. So happy that we can not only show you some current images and people, but also some old stuff that happened probably 2 years ago, almost to the day, maybe. Not to the day, to the month. Now, a lot of you are asking, why did VM not hop in the car and get in front of the camera? Nikki needed somebody to be like an escape route in case everything went wrong and that she could crash cut to. So you guys are going to have to ask VM very, very nicely if he's willing to jump in front of the vehicle one of these days. He's not a man of many words, so I don't think you should expect him to tell you anything, but he might be willing to show you his face. So we're actually driving down the same kind of grassy two-track that would lead us into the area. I can see some topi running around there. Let's just zoom in and have a quick look. Just on the horizon you can see two heads poking out at 1 o'clock there, James. Okay, this is looking good because some ran off. Those ones over there somewhere, yeah, those ones there, you can see they're looking back. Well done, James, looking back quite intently. So let's keep moving and see if we can work out what it is that may have scared them. As I was saying though, this was the area, I think it could have been just on our left here, where we had the Owino, black rhino and elephant sighting. Ooh, this is exciting. Come on, Topi. Please don't be misleading us by the fact that some of you were running away and then a few of you stopped to reassess the possible threat that could be waiting up ahead of us. It's quite dusty here. I know down in Djuma it's dusty. It's also quite dusty here. So that's why I kept rubbing my eyeballs. I don't know if you could see. You probably couldn't see. No, you wouldn't have been able to see. Okay, well, we'll call you back as soon as we've established what's happening on here, and we're going to send you back to Steve, who's got another cute scene unfolding. We've got some very small little nyalas here. I'm going to see if I can get them for you. Sorry, just in the front there. There's the little baby at the back. Puma, you wanted to see nyala. Here we have them. Beautiful, beautiful colors. There's a little youngster, not that one, there's a little one to the left. A little baby disappearing in the background there. Now you can see the orange-brown, so the rufous color to the brown with the white stripes makes it very easy to identify them versus kudu, which are gray. Not brown, gray.
also with stripes, but not as well painted as the Nyala is. Maybe just a little bit more contrasting on the greyness of the kudu's body. A little family of Nyala, only ladies, no boys there at all. Walking in a straight line back to wherever they're coming from. It's just ears from the back. The baby's only about a month or two old, still very, very small. There she is. Just ears. Being mixed feeders, they're able to do quite well, better than your kudu this year in the season. The kudu only browses, whereas the Nyala are able to at least benefit from whatever grass there might be left. And they generally do a little bit better than the kudu when it's very, very dry conditions. But as discussed last night, the kudu are looking in pretty good shape, all things considered. A little procession of Nyala moving away from us. Soon to be swallowed by the bush. I must say, you want to know if the populations vary or fluctuate with seasons? Most certainly do. Each year is different. Each year we go through wet and dry periods. So when you get a very dry period, let's to the tick population. Most certainly the ticks will have an enormous difference in more wet seasons. We get a lot more ticks in a more wet sort of season than a dry season. It's also the occurrence of the buffalo. We didn't have buffalo in the area for most of this year that I know about, so they weren't able to bring the ticks in that are normally there to just eat us alive. So wet seasons you generally see an increase in ticks, and dry seasons you see a decrease. Fire can be used as a management tool to eradicate ticks in very high rainfall areas, but it is a natural process such and we just grin and bear it. I haven't had a tick bite in some time. I think I'm just jinxing myself. Gonna go track some buffalo. Oh, there's buffalo right here. Look at that. Well, talk about buffalo, and they'll just come out of the woodwork in front of you. Maybe we should talk about a leopard next. Leopard. If only it was that easy. Looks like we've got a small little group of Duggar boys here. Is it a herd? Okay. We've got a herd of buffalo. Well, let's have a look at this grumpy man sitting here on his own at the moment. This area, this little piece of grass now where he's sitting, will probably have a number of ticks in the next few days, because the ticks, often a three-host tick, will actually gorge themselves on the buffalo and then fall off onto the grass, and then the nymphs, the little babies, also known as pepper ticks, and if you walk through one of those nests, there can be 1,000 of them there. They will cover you, and it is a very itchy affair. And you can see his horns. He's been rubbing his head against some branches with a little bit of red in it. I wonder what it could be. Red bush willow, perhaps? Silver cluster leaf? He's not looking a very happy chap, is he? Been relegated to the back of the herd. He's not even chewing. He's the security, is he? Yeah, is the bouncer, Senzo's saying. Looks like he's about to nod off, though. There we go. And the one behind him has also just sat down. So seems like these buffalo are probably going to be bedding down for the night. We're going to head up a little bit further, see if we can see the rest of the herd. If it is indeed a big herd or just a whole lot of bulls. Duggar boys. So the buffalo have come in as anticipated for these in the drainage lines, these enormous amounts of grass that's been sort of staying put because we haven't had a huge amount of grazers through the season. The zebras haven't been too prominent. Hello, Emma. You're a new viewer to the show. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're enjoying yourself so far. I'm just trying to navigate around these landmines of buffalo dung all over the place. You want to know if I've ever seen a video of, or ever seen a leopard or lion kill something? Well, yes, I have. I've seen lots of that, actually. The more and more, every day I work here, more and more things happen. This morning we didn't see it happen, but we had wild dogs, and they killed an impala. And the saddest part about that whole story was the impala was a female, and she was pregnant, and the wild dogs actually removed the baby from inside of the mummy's tummy. The impala are going to be giving birth only in November time, so they're still about 2-3 months premature. And the wild dogs actually brought the fetus as a present to their youngsters. They had 6 puppies. Looks like she's got a wound. That could be from a horn. Buffaloes get a little bit feisty, and sometimes they will bash each other, and that looks like that could have been quite painful. Her calf behind her, you can see she's a lot more sort of lighter brown in color. That's a good indication of the youth. Oh, and the oxpeckers want to go straight for the wound. Shame. You saw that bird there. Sorry, Nix, for some reason I just had a real breakup on the communications there, but the youngster here, you see, is very brown in colour, was born in about December time. I think we might be in a bit of a signal spot. Let me just move up, because your comms are not coming through very clearly. And I have a new earpiece, so it can't be the earpiece. Maybe it is in fact me all along. Let's move up. We're in amongst the herd now. They all look like they started to bed down for the night. So Philip, you are predicting the re-emergence of the Nkuhuma pride. Well, we do know that they enjoy themselves some buffalo. Very good. So hopefully they'll come back. This is what I've been wanting to see. Here we have got a beautiful buffalo bull, and underneath him is a cattle egret. So this cattle egret uses the buffalo as sort of like a flushing device. Look at him, how he's following him. And any insect that might be kicked off of the grass, well, that cattle egret is going to snatch it up. There's a very good commensalism sort of behavior. Commensalism, if you've ever heard of it before, it's a symbiotic relationship between two species where the one animal, the buffalo, is not affected, but the egret is benefited by the behavior of the buffalo, so it's able to get insects, but by no means is the buffalo affected or harmed in any way. This is a very nice herd of buffalo. They span all the way across. There's a youngster, inquisitive. Their horns have just come out, so about 8 months old or so. Oh, doesn't want anything to do with us. Off he goes. Where's Mum? We've got a couple very sinister looking buffalo in the pathway right in front of us that are giving each other. And we're giving each other a little bit of a headbutt. And then they gave us that very sinister looking look of, you owe me money. No animal can quite look at you the way a buffalo does. See, he's in his prime. That's a prime buffalo bull. Very good condition. The Senac, the baby buffalo, suckle for the first 8 months or so, but the females could invariably already be pregnant for next year's batch. So I think, I'm not 100% sure actually. I thought it might be between 6 and 8 months, but I think I might just be sucking that out of my thumb. Do you have any idea, Senzo? You know your cows, don't you? You've got a few cows back home. How long did the calves suckle for?
I don't know. It's not compounding.
You're not sure, eh? Someone else looks after your cows. I wonder if anyone can answer that question for Senac. Let us know. How long do the calves suckle for? Well, that individual was still busy suckling, so I don't know if Mum was wanting it to still suckle. She could invariably be pregnant already for next season's litter, but not litter, calving. But that is a good question. Thank you for that one. If no one can answer that for me, I'll have a look into it when I get back. Okay, well, we're going to stay with the buffalo for a little while longer, see if anything sinister emerges out of the thickets. And in the meantime, let's go to Sydney and see if he's had any luck with those tracks.
No luck yet. I am still looking, and I'm very much surprised seeing that the cats are not showing their activities here today, because I know this is the best weather for the cats to do their hunting activities. So maybe the cats, they are now much more interested in the sun than the cloud. So this kind of a cloudy weather is the best weather for the cats to conduct hunting activities. So I'm just now very close to the Twins Dam, where I am hoping to find something. So the buffaloes, how long they cycle, I think I can agree with Steve that it might be approximately 8 months. So I can see that here by the dam is also very much quiet. No cats. No sign of the cats here as well. So I'm just checking here by the Mulwati drainage line, but also looks very much quiet. Oh, look at this one stuck there. So now let's go back to Scott in the Mara and see how the Mara is doing.
Welcome back, everyone. Sydney, you're gonna get lucky, don't worry, buddy. It is the worst when it's overcast and you're trying to track. It really makes life tricky. You've joined us at a good time, because we are about to arrive back at the Olololo Pride of Lions. There are many of them. Not too sure how many actually at this point in time, but about, I think 15 or so. Earlier on we popped in and saw some of them. We only saw a portion of the pride. It seems like the other portion of the pride has come out from where they were hiding. So they're in two groups, it looks like. So they're not all next to one another in the time being. We have the fortunate privilege of not having to race back to camp like that guy over there, because we've got special permission to be out after dark. So everyone's busy racing either back to camp or out of the park to some camps that are outside the triangle in the surrounding conservancies, which are community owned. So soon we will have this whole magical playground to ourselves. Now, we've got some good prospects here. I haven't spent time with this pride of lion, sure, for a very long time. But we very often hear them when they're closer to camp, roaring. And if we get all of them roaring, it will be quite a spectacle to behold. So let's hope that that is what we are going to be able to show you in the next hour or so before the safari comes to a close. Ah, Philip. You've mentioned why you love their olololo pride, or olololo, I think is the better way of pronouncing it. So I'm pronouncing it with a funny accent, why I'm not too sure. And the reason why you like it is because you can type it with one finger. Good point. I'm not much of a typer myself. Try and avoid the email and the typing. Not fond of the two things. But I am fond of lions, and there are many here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 in this little puddle. Ravinda, you would like to know, what does olololo mean? Well, it's the name of the mountain range behind us. I'm not going to try and show it to you. You've probably seen it a million times by now, Ravinda, because you're a local. James, let's have a look at that one lioness that's on the termite mound above this furthest one over there. There we go. So there's another one over there looking at the rest of the pride, which is to the vehicles, or next to those vehicles to the left. So that's what that line's looking at. And as James kind of widens out, you'll see where those other vehicles are. That's the bunch we looked at a little bit earlier. So we'll make our way down there in a little while. Oh, it looks like that youngster. It looks like a young lion running off to greet them. We spent a lot of time with these lions when they were tiny, growing up, when we first arrived here last year. Justice, I've got a park ranger with us called Justice, so I'm just going to ask him if he knows what olololo means. Does it have a meaning, or... And?
Its meaning is something to do like this, bending. The other heel, and the other one. The flat here is olololo.
Okay.
Mali ambapo milima mbili zinakuja zinakaa hivi.
Okay. Kitu kama valley, ama?
Safari.
Okay. Olololo means a valley. It sounds like that is the translation. Thank you very much, Justice. So yeah, I guess the olololo escarpment creates one edge of this massive kind of basin that we are in here in the Mara ecosystem. So there we go, Ravinda. Thank you, Justice. Justice has got very, very sharp eyes, so we're very fortunate to have him on board with us. He often finds animals for us. John, you'd like to know, how do lions pick which females to mate with? It's a good question. Obviously, they need to wait for the females to be in season. And then, in the event that 2 lionesses are in season and 2 big males, part of a coalition, come across those 2 ladies, I wonder how they work it out. Whether they have a discussion and like, okay, buddy, who do you like? I like Susie. Would you mind? Nikki just said in my ear, boys aren't fussy. I would disagree strongly to that comment of yours, Nicola Austin. Maybe some boys aren't as fussy as others. And I guess I did an Instagram post today in which I said animals are just like humans in that not only do each of their looks differ, but also their personalities. So, some lions may be fussy and some male lions might not be. Just like us as humans, all of them look slightly different. It's very difficult for us as humans to be able to distinguish between different animals, as it can often be difficult for us as humans to kind of notice differences in different races that we're not used to spending time with. That's often the case in my travels that I've noticed. So yeah, something interesting to think about. When Nikki and I spent a lot of time up in an area called Samburu in central Kenya, we had a whole bunch of resident dik-diks. They're very, very cute antelope, tiny little antelope, very small, with a funny little nose that they can extend and elongate either to help cool down, and also when they alarm call, they go "Prit, prit." And this thing goes from here all the way under their chin. It's incredible, their nostrils, so they can extend it almost like a trunk. Anyway, because we spent so much time in that camp and not on safari, we got to know those dik very, very well, to the point that Nikki and I would be walking around and being like, oh, she doesn't have the most fortunate looks, does she? Or that guy's got quite a puffy face, doesn't he? But that obviously indicates that we were spending far too long in one place looking at the 5 or 6 little families of dik. Yes. Very good. I think we should go and have a look at the other lions and see if they aren't looking a little bit more lively than this bunch. Pippin, you would like to know if the lady lion, the lioness, doesn't have a say in the matter? Definitely not. If she is in season, she will want to mate with a male, and it's up to those males to fight over her and get the rights to mate with her. In the event that it is only one female and 2 males arrive onto the scene, even partners, coalition partners, they will often fight over her. There won't necessarily be a civil discussion like there may be in the event that there's one each. And yes, then the biggest, strongest lion will have his way. And she knows full well to obviously just accept that, because that's just how it works out here. Very good, Pippin. Thanks for your question. We are going to get into a better spot here and send you back to Steve while we do so.
Sorry about that. We just had to move forward a moment because we've been watching this buffalo bull position himself. His friend lay down on him. He's now put his back on his friend, and he has got the most amazing chewing action going on there. And then Bob on the left decided, well, he wanted to photobomb the whole shot. Hang on a second. Wait, let me just vomit in my mouth. There we go. Back to the rumination. I find it so incredible. We sit and watch these animals regurgitate their food. And there you can actually see, when you go in, you can see that the teeth, you've got teeth on the bottom jaw, and it's just a palate on the top. Just a very hard palate. There's no teeth there. No teeth for clipping the grass. But the molars are there at the back. That's where the grinding happens. But the buffalo basically clips off the grass using the top palate and those teeth. So it means that they can't really feed very low to the ground. Their mouth is quite large. So they basically just munch on the grass and rip it as they get to it. It generally has to be they favor quite long grass. And being a ruminant, they obviously want to get the best quality they possibly can. After feeding for a few hours, they'll then go and do exactly what they're doing now, sitting down in a herd in the rumination position. You can see it there. That's the classic rumination position with the legs tucked up underneath. And as they are chewing, you can see the individual that is chewing there in the middle. Okay, Bob is going to photobomb again. Maybe he's going to go lie with his brothers. Let's go see what happens here. He might feel that he's missing out on all the action. There's a good chance he's going to find a nice spot right there next to him. So while the animals are busy chewing like that, they're in a completely meditative state. And if their body's resting, well, their entire body is actually resting when the mind is at rest. So it's equivalent to sleep. So that's one of the benefits of being a ruminant. You don't actually have to physically sleep. You just have to go through the processes of chewing the cud after you've been feeding all day. Sit down, chew it some more. Only downfall, I suppose, is the regurgitation in your mouth constantly. So thank you, James. James has given the feedback that it's about 15 months of suckling, which probably is a lot more than I thought it was. But thank you for adding that information, James. It seems about right now. The buffalo are a little bit bigger, so I suppose a little bit longer in their time with mum. There we go. Hello. But I still eat a little bit of grass, can't you see? Some is in my mouth. There it is. Whoop. Very pretty. They are very cute. Very cute. You're going to grow up to be a very strong buffalo, aren't you? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. You don't see the youngsters doing much rumination due to the fact that they obviously get a lot of milk still. They do still feed, they still do a bit of grazing, but most of the nourishment is coming from the milk. And obviously the adults need to get the nourishment so as they can provide enough milk for the youngsters. And in times of drought, well, it's the weak females that take the biggest strain, and their offspring, and the older bulls as well, or the older females. And generally the strongest, as we know, will survive, and that is how through the many, many centuries of animals being on the African continent, we have got the strong genes that we have today, because those that weren't able to survive the harshest of environments, well, they didn't make it through. And there is a female. You can see the difference in the size of the boss on the top. I know we talk about it a lot, but it's important to understand the difference between the male and the female, so as to identify the different herd type structures. Bulls on their own could invariably act quite differently to a breeding herd itself. Hang on one more second. Let me just vomit in my mouth one more time. There we go. Cheeks full of grass, chew, 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 churning it up, covering it in saliva. That's the reason why the buffalo need to drink so much water, producing enormous amounts of saliva, which by breaking up and chopping up the particles, they then get coated in the saliva, which is full of bacteria, full of microorganisms, which do the breakdown of those particles. And in the second chambered stomach, after they've been absorbed through there, well, all of the nutrients as well as the protein generated from the bodies of the microorganisms are re-ingested into the body, and as much moisture as possible is taken out. But if you've seen buffalo dung before, you'll notice it is very wet and sloppy. They don't have the best adaptation to water retention. Nothing like the giraffe. Giraffe makes very hard pellets, a very concentrated urea that comes out because they've got a modified kidneys, which reabsorb as much water as they possibly can. And when they urinate, it's very, very bright orange. And the buffalo, not so much, meaning they have to drink a lot more, so far more water dependent. Well, very good. These buffalo are not going anywhere for the next few hours, so we're going to do a little bit of a scan around and go around the other side and see maybe if their smell has attracted the presence or the attentions of any of the big and hairies with the claws and teeth. You know what I mean. It's lovely to see the korhaanas. I've heard reports that the avoca males are far in the north, so we won't be seeing them today. But the buffalo herds are coming in and out of Djuma on a regular basis now, as you know, and they will always attract the attention of big and hungry lions. So hopefully we'll manage to see it. This is probably one of the biggest herds I've seen in the area. Okay, well, let's have one more look at this grumpy little bull here, who I would not like to meet in a dark alley. And he wouldn't like to see lions, but maybe lions wouldn't like to see him.
Very good. From many buffalo to many lion, I guess it's all relative. You'll never have a pride of lion as big as the herd of buffalo that Steve's watching. As far as I can tell, there seem to be... You can possibly have heard that. Ooh. It's just to the left of that one, James. It's this lioness that's got her head up, that's been letting off one or two contact calls. Yeah, this one over here. So you did hear that soft ooh. And it sounds like and looks like this lioness is trying to contact some missing pride members. Like I said, there only appear to be 13 here. Now that biggish male, I haven't seen him properly yet. I'm not sure who he is, or where he fits in exactly. But again, my knowledge on this pride is actually embarrassingly not very up to scratch. My bad. So it'll be interesting to see him when he gets up, and it'll also be interesting to see how many lions actually do come to the party, hopefully by the end of the safari. You can definitely see she's the one that's calling out every now and then. So she must be missing one of her family members. Proud Cat Mama, you would like to know which part of Africa has the highest density of lions? I don't know, but I would guess probably South Africa. There we go. Come on, give us a proper roar. Not these soft, half-hearted ones. If you give a proper roar, maybe your friends will hear you. So yeah, my guess would be South Africa. I would urge anyone that does know the answer to that question to let us know. So yeah, there's good populations in various parts of East Africa. Maybe Tanzania. Tanzania's got many, many wilderness areas, and it's a much bigger country than Kenya. But I've got a feeling that South Africa might. I don't know why, I've just got a gut feeling that South Africa might be home to the most wild lions. Interestingly, I'm told there's something ridiculous like 5,000 big cats living in America. Isn't that a terrible thought? Anyhow. Well, I mean, I should have actually phrased that better. Big cats that don't belong there, so like lion, leopard, and tigers. And I guess also in, South Africa there are also a lot of captive lions, sadly. So wild lions are what we're interested in here. One of you, I can't remember who it was asking if all 9 young sub-adult males are still in this pride. I'm not too sure. James, let's have a look at these ones at 3 o'clock quickly. They seem to be providing some new found energy. Now we're just playing with one another, and as soon as we got, sadly, to them, they stopped, but they might continue. That was Dina K. So you were wondering if there were 9 young sub-adult males still here. The one that was leaving there was a male. Thank you, Nikki Austin, for your help. That one also looks like a male to me. You can see he's got a little bit of a goatee developing under his chin, on his neck rather. So yeah, we'll have to just try and keep on top of things and work out whether they are all in fact here. Oh, nice big yawn coming. Your teeth still have a little bit of growing to do. Now, they are full-bellied, most of them. I'm wondering what they managed to catch, because sadly for this pride of lion, it doesn't seem like they've managed to cash in on the migration bounty. The herds have not made it this far north, and I fear are not going to make it this far north. Let me keep quiet for a minute or two. I was hoping she was going to roar. Well, now that she's up and about, maybe she will let off a proper roar. Ooh, she's in great shape. Very, very pretty lioness. Oh, you see, that is a... I wonder who this big male is. Let's have a quick look to the left there, James. Who are you? It's one of the Kichwa males, who Nikki says is the ugly one with the missing fang. Nikki, you are a wizard when it comes to identifying lions, and I simply do not understand how you do it so effectively and quickly, but I'm glad you are directing the show. Nikki's saying, don't say ugly, I didn't say he was ugly. She wasn't being nasty. She just, wasn't expecting everyone to hear that, but I thought I would share it because I thought it would be quite funny and make her feel awkward, which I think worked. And let's take a closer look. Nikki's trying to change the subject and say, just look at his bottom right fang, because he's missing that. I saw this guy and his coalition partner, who is far better looking than him, digging out a warthog, or at least attempting to. Well done. There you would have got a glimpse of the fact that there's no bottom right fang there. So this guy seemed to be like he was more proactive. He was the one that was doing most of the digging. The other kind of pretty boy was just sitting on the side, letting his mane blow in the wind. And we got to the scene at probably 6:45 in the morning. And this was when my folks were out here. Oh, a little phlegm and grimace. He's smelling where that lioness urinated earlier. And thus better processing the smell by grimacing like that. So at 6:45 we got there. We stayed with them until about 7:30, and then I thought, you know what, we can't just sit here all day. We need to rush you off to a very nice bird, and then I will continue my story about these guys trying to dig out a warthog. Goodbye.
Thanks, Scotty. Fantastic that you're still with those lions. We have managed to find another bird today, and this time again another raptor, the smallest, I think, of the raptors in this area. A crepuscular raptor with eyes in the back of its head. You can see that it's actually looking away from us right now. It's going to have a little poo. You can see the false eyes. Oops, off it goes, just in time. That was the pearl spotted owlet. Very, very small guy. It's only about this big. Very, very cool. And off he goes. Well, nice to find them. Got a little bit of tailor's luck today with the owls. Although it's the first one I've seen. She seems to find owls constantly. I believe it to be a good omen, finding owls. Wisdom. Wisdom. We were discussing it last night about the interest in encouraging locals to, in South Africa that is, to sort of embrace owls due to their predatory nature of catching pest sort of disease spreading animals such as rodents and mice. Mice are rodents, I suppose. I smelled something. What was that? I think it might just have been hippo dung, actually. I've still got wild dog smell in my nose from this morning, and it was almost that sweetish sort of wild dog smell, but it's actually just hippo. Yes, I just said hippo dung smells sweet. I think because it's been an overcast day all day. There's been no time for the hippo dung to dry, so it's still got that very fresh sort of fragrance from last night. You know, if you're drinking a nice Sauvignon Blanc, you'll say it's got that very fresh cut grass sort of flavour or smell. If you all know what that smells like, cut your lawn. Oh yeah, Nikki just perked her ears up. Okay, well, seeing as we've lost all of our huge amount of activity there with our little owl, we're going to see what else we can find. We're heading up towards Buffelshoek Dam now, hoping we'll bump into something soon on the way. But in the meantime, let's go back to Scotty D and his cats.
Well, I'm glad you got a glimpse of that little owlet. They're very, very cool birds. We have repositioned ever so slightly, and I'm feeling confident that we are going to get spoilt and hear these guys let off a bellowing roar. We've still got time on our side. So as I was saying earlier about the story with the big male that we were looking at earlier and his coalition partner, we left the scene at probably 7:30 in the morning. Brent went past on his way home just after drive. Let's check the big male, James. I don't know if the IR will reach him. He's just pricked his head up. I don't know what he heard, but he popped up very quickly. It's incredible. I think he's listening to the other portion of the pride behind us. I've just heard a soft contact call, so that seems to be what got his attention. Anyway, this individual and his coalition partner then were still trying to dig the warthog out at about 10 a.m., 3 hours after we kind of came across them. when Brent was heading home. And then I came past at about 11:30 with my folks, and all that remained was the skull of a warthog. So they had managed to pluck one out and consume it sometime between 10 and 11:30. And I wonder how long they had been there from before we got there, trying their luck. And that gives you an example of how difficult their times are for them at the moment, because the migrating herds have not come this far north as they normally do. Carrie, you would like to know how far will the contact call travel for? How awesome is this? Pacing straight towards us. Carrie, for our ears, I mean, I could just faintly hear those ones calling behind us, and that was probably 100 or 200 meters away from me. Obviously their hearing's much better, so I don't know how far a lion would be able to hear a contact call from. Maybe half a mile when they're just letting off these soft calls, the contact calls. Yeah, that would be my guess. It really is awesome how affectionate these beasts can be when they decide to be, which is a lot of the time, I guess, unless there's food on the table. They are very, very affectionate with other pride members. Proud cat mama, at what age would a lion start to roar? I think all these youngsters that are just in and around a year plus of age, they will start contributing to the roaring. We will see shortly, hopefully. So yeah, I'd say from a year old and upwards thereof. Hopefully we'll be able to see that firsthand in the next short while. Playtime. Ah, bless you. So it seems like this guy wants to probably go and catch up with the other portion of the pride, which is behind us. The one lioness off to the right, James, of this bunch that we're looking at now, she's looking very, very intently in that direction and has been for quite a while, and I'm pretty sure she is the individual that has been letting off all the contact calls. So it'll be interesting to see if any other lions don't come running in onto the scene. Only time will tell. Very good. Steve has found a zebra.
Thank you, we have indeed. We've moved on from the buffalo. We've now found a herd of impala with a herd of zebra doing their thing, trying to avoid the lions that are surely to be following the buffalo shortly. And they're hanging out in a loose sort of group, but obviously everyone keeping eyes and ears open for the presence of anything that might want to eat them alive. It is the biggest worry these animals have on a daily basis. Yeah, looks like a male zebra now striding quite elegantly towards the road behind us. He's going to cross. There are more zebras in the direction he's going. There we go. Off he goes. Beautiful little trot. I give him a 8 out of 10 for that little show of trotting. A little bit of dressage on the way. Here comes another one. He's going to follow suit. He doesn't know why the zebra crossed the road, but he is going to follow. Here we go. Whoopsie, a little bit quicker. When there is, sorry about the aerial I have there behind my vehicle there, we can't control the zebra's movements to suddenly dash behind the car. All they know is that when one runs, they better, look, that's a beautiful trot. Beautiful trot. There we go. That's a 9 out of 10. I think all of those of you, that's a 10. The second judge, Nikki Austin, has given that a 10 out of 10. A 9 and a 10 out of 10. That is a very good score. And now he has gone and hidden. We've given you a good score, buddy. I think he's a bit shy. He knows he's won competition. And now he wants to hide behind the bushes. Okay. Well, it's interesting. You'll see the zebra will bolt out of the group here of animals, and no alarm call or anything, just because the family's gone. They're like, I better get over there. But the impala, like, what's going on with you, zebra? Have you got a little bit crazy? They probably say to the zebra, just go and ruminate for a little bit and calm down. The zebras can't ruminate. That's their problem. That's their problem. High stressed. Need to meditate a little bit. Oh. And we've got a male antelope. Barb wants to know if a male antelope mark their territory like big cats. Well, most antelope have got what we call, well, there's a number of different glands that antelope have, and a lot of antelope have got them underneath the eye, so the preorbital gland. You'll see that impala will sometimes mark with their face, wildebeest will mark with their face, duiker as well as steenbok, klipspringer. They mark there's a little gland just underneath the eye. Then you also get pedal glands in a lot of animals. Wildebeest specifically got a pedal gland that's between the toes or the hoof. And some of them got inguinal gland, which is basically around the belly button area. And then I'm trying to think what other type of scent marking antelopes will do. So wildebeest will rub their face and then urinate and then urinate and defecate and roll in it. Impala rams will thrash horns against the branch and rub their face. And then I don't know if there's anything in the front feet, but apparently the fetlock glands. Okay, the fetlock glands on the back of the feet are about communication and them following each other around. Anyway, Bob, I hope that's answered a little bit of your question there. We are going to be going back over to Sydney, who I think has also got himself a zebra.
It's the time to go back home now. You can see I've got a group of zebra now. Oh, instead of going home, they are listening to my last words of the day. So these zebras, they stay in herds and it's led by one stallion together with a fine female. So it's a harem where we've got one breeding male in charge of several females. Oh, they're still feeding now. Zebras prefer long grass. You can see that where they are now, there's quite a lot of long grass. And mostly behind them, you'll find other animals such as the blue wildebeest who prefers short grass. So if you look at the zebras, all of them, their stomachs looks big as if they are all pregnant, including males. That has got something to do with pregnancy. The size of the stomach is because of too much gases that helps them during fermentation. That's why if you disturb zebras unexpectedly, they are going to release gas. But zebras, they are not like the termites, which are small insects, which can release quite a lot of gas, the gas which can be able to facilitate the global warming. So zebras has got big gas, but their gas, compared to the gas produced by the small termites, they don't have such a big negative impact. But for the termites, is the one that is becoming a main source of global emission. So it's very interesting to see that the small insects such as the termites are contributing a lot towards this kind of global emission. But the big animals, they are causing less impact. But some other big animals such as cattle and buffaloes, of course, those ones can cause quite a lot of methane gas too, which can facilitate the global warming. So I am just going to carry on now and get to the tree house dam area and see if maybe any of the nocturnal animal is going to. Now let's go to Scott by the Maasai Mara while I'm going to tree house dam to see if any animal is going to show up there.
Good luck, Steve. I am hoping that in the next few minutes these guys are going to roar. The lioness that's closest to us, kind of in the center of your frame, she let off about 2 or 3 louder calls earlier, and I thought that it was going to get the rest of them going, but maybe they're just warming up. Hopefully though, in the next few minutes they get their act together Still looking intently in the same direction she was earlier, as is he. So whether they know that they left other pride members there sometime last night, or they can hear them now, I'm not too sure. It could be either of the two, or a combination of the two. Certainly I haven't heard anything off in that direction, but my hearing is terrible. And I'm basically deaf in one ear because I've got an earpiece in, so that I can chat with you guys and hear your questions. So only my left ear is functional, which is facing the opposite direction to where they're looking. CK, you would like to know if the animals ever notice individual guides. In my opinion, no, but I could be wrong. I highly doubt that they know any of us individually. Nikki's just said to me, or guides in general. I don't understand what that means. I.e., can they distinguish a guide from a regular tourist? Or where are we going with this? If they notice people on the vehicles, yes. I mean, they definitely know that there is a creature in this vehicle. They lock eye contact with us from time to time, and they know what eye contact is, and that we are a living beast. But I don't think they know that I'm Scotty D, and that Stevovo is Stevovo, nor Sydney, Sydney. Again, just like I was saying a little bit earlier, for us to be able to notice differences in different species to us can be difficult, and it'll be equally difficult for them, whereas them recognizing other lions will be far easier, if that makes sense. I mean, I guess maybe you'll get like, rare scenarios where there's a park where very few people go, and maybe there's a film crew that's filming. Come on, give us a roar. She started. Come on. You see, it's just so hard to tell if she's going to drop a gear and start doing it properly. Not looking very convincing at this stage, but hopefully she'll prove me wrong. Come on, prove me wrong. Stand on your back legs and sing for us. Wouldn't that be funny? Sometimes leopards stand on their back legs. I've never been lucky enough to see it. But I'm told you guys can hear all the little crickets and frogs and chirps and cheeps as the nocturnal critters come to life. Beautiful. Well, she didn't prove me wrong. Oh, but could it change? She must be hearing other lions there. The way she picked up her head so quickly like that means she's hearing something, so it must be another portion of the pride that's letting off some soft contact calls that we can't hear. Or possibly some food, but I doubt it, because, I mean, when it was still night, we could see for very far and there was no food around. No wildebeest. Wah, 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 wah. I can't remember if I finished answering a question earlier or if I got interrupted for some reason. I think I did for the pearl-spotted owl. I think I think I forgot about somebody. I forgot who you were. But your question was if all 9 males will stay together. And when they kind of disband, will they form a coalition of 9? They could. They could well. But it's uncommon to get a coalition that size. There was a young coalition of 9 males in the Manyeleti to the north of the Sabi Sands. And that was Philip. Thank you very much, Nikki, for reminding me. There was a coalition of 9 young males that kind of broke away from their pride, which is normal, to start kind of setting up their own operation. But those 9 males are no longer all together. You'll probably find a few get killed along the way, or they... Here goes. Come on. So yeah, Philip, sorry I forgot about that. I was halfway through your question earlier, but I hope that helps you. We actually were discussing this a day or two ago on one of the drives, and I asked anyone to let me know if they knew of any coalitions bigger than 5 male lions. That was an established set-up coalition, not just 9 teenagers running around. And I'm not sure if anyone did get back to us or what the outcome was there, but the biggest coalitions I've ever seen or heard of that are actually functional are 5. And very often, once they've set up their territory, you very, very seldom see all 5 together. And that's in 2 different scenarios that I've witnessed firsthand. They come in as a powerful unit, and once they've set up shop, they split up, which makes sense because they often can acquire such a large territory that it makes spend to divide and conquer. Rima, you would like to know which of the night critters makes the best noise? Probably the fiery neck nightjar for me. Good Lord, deliver us, is what I'm told they are saying. No, that wasn't good. So that's a really nice call. Oh, yeah, goes. Sure. How awesome was that? They took us by surprise there. That was so cool. I'm very happy they ambushed all of us. I'm also astonished at how long this male went on for. Some of you may have thought the stream was broken, like it was stuck on rapport. And Nikki's busy roaring to me through the earpiece. She's a very happy lady, as I'm sure a lot of you are as well. How special to share that with you guys. Well done, lions. Thank you very much for singing so beautifully. The reason why I think that male did continue going for so long is that the other portion of the pride behind us was also roaring, but I think they started after these ones, and that's why he wanted to keep going so he could have the final say, is my theory as to why it kept going at the end there. Absolutely epic. King Meg, well, your question has just been answered. You were wondering if a lioness can give a full roar, and you saw just a few moments ago that yes, she can in fact roar very well. Some people, guides, say they can distinguish between a male call and a lioness call. I certainly can't. So I'm not sure if they're just talking rubbish or if they can in fact tell for certain. I mean, to be fair, you would have thought I would have been able to kind of either disprove that theory by now, but if I don't believe in it, but I haven't been able to catch anyone out, so to speak. But to me, it sounds very similar. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Well, now that we've seen this bunch roaring, I'm thinking of possibly going and changing the scenery and seeing what the rest of the pride are up to. But I'll give it a few moments, and while we work out what to do, we're going to send you to Sydney, who is scouting about.
There? I am now looking for some of the nocturnals, those animals that are active now at night, and I can see that it is very much quiet at the moment. I have been shining my spotlight trying to see if I can find something here, including bush babies as well. Difficult for me to find the bush babies here in Djuma. I haven't seen the bush baby. Or maybe I've seen them once, I cannot remember. So I'm just now going to drive over the dam wall to see if maybe I can find my last spotted cat. Rima, the one which makes the best noise ever at night, it is the spotted eagle owl. The spotted eagle owls makes a very interesting noise like And these spotted eagle owls, they are nesting by one of my trees at home there in Venda. So they call a lot at night. I always enjoy their noise. It's interesting to hear them making that noise. The problem is they can make that noise all night long. I've just picked up some lights right there. Can't see very well what that animal is, but somewhere down there I saw there's some ice, much more this side. You can see there. It doesn't look like, it seems like it's a small animal. Yeah, somewhere there I managed to pick up some ice, but you can see now that animal is shy. I cannot see it anymore. So I'm just gonna carry on to the other side of the dam wall and see if we can find something interesting on the other side here. So the spotted cats are avoiding me today. No luck with them from the beginning. Yeah, no, that is true. It's because I've been very lucky with the other animals already. So I just want to try my last luck here by the Galago pen. Maybe we might be lucky just before we finish. Snake, the animal which makes the most scary noise at night. I am going to think about that animal now, because there is quite a lot of animal which makes quite a lot of scary noises, but obviously it's not the lion. So I'm trying to think about an animal that scared me before. So now let's go to Steve while I'm thinking about the animals that scared me before. Coming back shortly, I will explain to you.
Thanks, Sydney. There are so many wonderful sounds in the African wilderness at night. I love lying in my bed and hearing a leopard calling, lions calling in the distance. Probably one of my favorite sounds to hear is the black-backed jackal when they call. A very, very interesting sound, which I'm not going to try and imitate now because I don't think I quite have it. But I want to play for you quickly probably the strangest sound that you hear out here. Are you ready for it? Have a listen. Isn't that just the strangest call you've ever heard? And that is the call of the bronze-winged courser. It's one of our nocturnal birds. Let me try and get you a nicer picture. There's the drawing of it. Nocturnal birds, we often find them in the road at night. You sometimes think they're a thick knee. You see that big, that big eye. Let me just move across and get you a nice photo of it. There we go. We're in the infrared, so you can't see the colors, but there are orange legs. It's a very pretty bird, in fact, but the call is a very, very strange call. Anyway, we probably see one, and we see them actually quite regularly, but the first time I heard that, I was so confused. What is making this really strange sound? And yeah, that's just what it was. That is a nighttime critter. A critter. That is a nighttime critter. A bronze-winged courser is a nocturnal bird with a very large eye, and you often find them just in front of the car at night. They jump up in the... Oh, that's not a nice sound, but I do like the sound of the black-backed jackal. I love the sound of the black-backed jackal. It really brings back memories of being in the bush. But there's nothing nicer really than hearing lions when you're in your bed, just hearing them calling in the distance. I really enjoy it. It's hard to say. I love the sounds of the African wilderness. Scott, old Captain Blackbeard himself, said he likes the nightjar, fire-necked nightjar. That's a great call as well. If you're wondering why I'm calling him Blackbeard, well, he won the pirate competition last night, so he's now Blackbeard, an elusive pirate with an Irish accent. Scotty D. Anyway, it was just funny then, I think. Not as funny now, but anyway, we're slowly making our way back. See if we can maybe pick up on anything, and maybe time for a last-minute leopard. Yeah. We checked all the haunts, all the nooks and crannies. Who knows what might suddenly... You know how many times, I wonder if anyone's got a stat of how many times a leopard has materialized in the last 5 minutes of the show. Someone's probably recorded that. Definitely not me. It's happened to me a number of times. Can't remember how many though. So Sydney was looking for some bush babies. We've seen a couple already, but they just don't stick around. They jump and jump and jump, and they are gone very, very quickly. One sound of the thick-tailed bush baby, which is probably the nastiest sound you'll ever hear in the bush, is a very crying sound. It's the kind of sound you might expect if you get attacked by a hyena.
At least I'm lucky with one of the spotted animal. You can see the spots. There is not a cat. Yeah, very close to the cats. I've got the spotted hyena there here around the Galagopan area. So I'm not too sure what this hyena is looking for. Maybe he's here in order to attract me so that I can see where the cats are hiding. So now I've got an answer for you with regards to the most scary animal at night. The thick-tailed bush baby. The thick-tailed bush baby calls like a baby, and if you don't know their call, you might even call the police thinking that someone has abandoned a child. They make a very interesting noise. So I'm just trying to check here. So thank you very much for that comment. Yes, the hyena sighting to me is very interesting because I'm battling to find the spotted cats this evening. But maybe let me follow him. I can see where he's going. Maybe he's going to lead me to something. Maybe this hyena is going to lead me to something. So I'm going to rely on the hyena at the moment for navigation and orientation. So now, let's go to Scott, who's got some lions.
Yes, the thick-tailed bush baby makes a very strange and eerie noise. However, there is an animal that I think trumps it that occurs here in East Africa. It is a tree hyrax. They are nocturnal beasts, and they make a sound a little bit like this. They start off going tick, 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 and then no, hold on, let me get that right. I had it earlier. Ooh, sounds like somebody's being murdered. Try and Google machine tree hyrax audio. You'll be horrified. Often people arrive in various camps in Kenya, and if you don't warn them what the sound is, they're absolutely petrified coming to you like, what is that noise? So that was one thing that Nikki and I learned. You always had to warn people about the tree hyrax in Kenya. Not that we had them at our camp though, but I guess maybe when they were going to other camps. But I remember, did we have them there, Nix? We did have to warn. Where did I remember warning people about it? Anyway, it's a horrifying noise. Hopefully, though, we are going to hear, it was mainly in Nairobi that we heard them. Oh yes, are we going to get lucky? Yes, we are. The others are calling. Here they go. Epic. How cool was that, guys? We got super lucky. And our beard, last minute lion are all spot on. Who knows, maybe Steve will get that last minute leopard, but there's only a couple of minutes left. So, something that I must admit to being wrong about was the age that young male lions would start roaring. As you could see, that the sub-adult that was with these two wasn't attempting to get involved in the singing. So, yeah, maybe it's, I don't actually know, maybe it's from around 2 years of age, because that individual certainly didn't look like it was even remotely interested in joining the rest of the pride. But very happy to hear that all of you guys absolutely loved that roaring. I'm going to have to reposition the vehicle quickly. Otherwise, we are going to have no more lions to look at for the last few seconds of the show. Well, Pre-Girl, yes, your timing was good, and you are certainly a lucky person to have tuned in to catch these lions roaring. It's been a long time since I've been this close to lions roaring. I guess a long time is also relative. It's because I took a nice 3-week holiday. And when last did I hear some lions roaring before that? Oh, can't be sure, but maybe a month or so, which is a long time for me. Okay. I'm just going to stop here and let James film this male drifting off into the distance. Oh, it may not be as pretty a picture as we were hoping for to end the show. That is the joy of being on a live safari. Thank you so much, guys, for all your help. Nikki, good work in the final control. James Comaway on camera. Thank you. We'll see you all next time.